We started to work in this area approximately a year ago, May 2022, and this place formerly was a storage space for the construction materials. You can see that basically the whole area had absolutely no vegetation when we came here. That's the condition of the soil underneath. So basically, because all the materials were stored here, the soil was so compressed that we couldn't even break it with a pickaxe properly. Meaning that the biological communities in the soil, because they depend on the air, right, in the soil, could not survive anymore. If the soils get compacted, then there is no more air inside. And then it totally changes the biology of the soil. And therefore, the idea behind this garden was to start it as a regeneration project for the soil. To improve the soil condition, to get air back into the soil, and to promote growth of the biological community in the soil. So you can see that we separated the area on like two functional zones, and the first zone would be the vegetable garden, and we had to make this kind of raised bed. And on the other side, we allocated the areas surrounding these vegetable beds as a kind of like a wild meadow or like as a regeneration spots. These are soil tests from the two spots, and the one in the bigger jar is the garden beds, and the other one is the area under the regeneration where the soil is being regenerated using plant mixture.
Okay, this is the garden and this is the... which is which?
This is the garden. All particles have different weight and a different size, and of course what settles the first is the biggest particle which you can have is the sand. The first strata which you can see is sand. Then what comes on top of it is silt, and this is basically the fertile part. And you can compare, so here in the garden beds, same amount of sand and the same amount of silt here. Then above there is like a bigger particle organic matter, which at first floats on the top but then sinks slowly. And on top of it there is a layer of clay, because the clay is the finest particle and it stays suspended in the water for a very long time. So it takes a long time for it to precipitate. And the clay is also very important because it holds a lot of nutrient. This soil is not really clayey, but there is some clay in it. And here you can see there is a...
And I guess in the area around Berlin it's in general sandier kind of soil now.
Yes, it is. It's mostly sandy soil, in Brandenburg especially. That's why like they need to take care of their topsoil so much, because it's so sandy that it's easy to destroy it. we formulated a mix of plants or mix of seeds. It contains approximately 50 different species to plant the regeneration patches. This green stripe along the fence is actually nursing crop, contained mostly the brassica seeds. Brassica is a little bit like a pioneer species. It's going to move in and they're going to start to prepare the soil for the other plants. So, and at the same time, these brassica plants, they also act as a cover crop. They're protecting the second generation of plants underneath. So while the brassica plant goes very fast, high up, makes a lot of flowers, a lot of pollinators come, underneath there are other plants which are maturing in order to start to grow the second year. Yeah, meanwhile the vegetable beds were also growing, and you can see there are some pumpkin leaves, and
Yeah, this is very interesting picture. Maize which I've planted here, it didn't really do very well, and it hasn't been doing well for a very long time. So it was like plants were stunted, and I just thought, probably it's because of the lack of rain. But in fact, they were not growing. They were not growing. They were not growing for 3 months. They were staying very little. And I decided to extract one of the plants and check the roots. And when I took it out, I found this. And you can see it's full of life. And the little peach-colored bugs there, they are root aphids. And they are sucking sap of the maize plants from the root. And they're also like kind of herded by the ants. And then also next to them you can see this larva, and this is the larva of the fungal gnat fly, and they are eating on the decomposing matters, and sometimes they're also feeding on the roots. And I was like, oh my god, like I gonna go grab some neem oil and gonna put it right down the root to kill all the insects there so that the plants will grow. But I didn't do it immediately. I thought about it for another day. And the next day I came and I pulled another plant to check it. And then I noticed, like, hey, look, you see that there is this part of the soil which is like a kind of a grayish and just sandy. But then there are these stripes of black. And this black, it concentrated around the areas which are like, one can say, like infested, yeah, with this life. And then I thought, okay, so maybe I anyhow will not get any good crop anymore from these maize plants. But if I'm going to kill all that life, I will also kill all the life which it has generated, because the aphids, they excrete sugar, the larvae probably also excrete a lot of stuff, and what they do, they promote the bacterial growth on their own excrement. Excessive energy which they didn't consume and deposited in their body, they feed with this the bacterial communities. And that's probably one of the reasons why there are those black areas there. It's the areas where bacterial community is operating.